Today we are going to read book 16 of Winnie the Pooh, Rabbit's Ears. What do you think happened to his ears? It looks fine there. One summer day, Rabbit worked in his garden, pulling up weeds. Such lovely quiet, he said to himself. Every once in a while, a rabbit needs time to think, not about anything special, but just to think. There's nothing quite as nice as a quiet day in the garden. Rabbit sighed blissfully and tossed another weed onto the pile. Well, he seems to be having a very nice day in his garden. Nice and quiet, relaxed. He's got a weed pile. He's got, I think, some tomatoes back there. Oh, and he was weeding his carrots. Suddenly the silence was disturbed by a loud buzzing sound. A bee zoomed past Rabbit's head, followed soon after by Pooh. The bear stomped through Rabbit's garden, scattering the weeds. Yep, there's his pile. It looks a little bit different. Pooh! Rabbit cried indignantly. Sorry, Pooh called back. Can't stop. I'm on the trail of some honey. And he's running right through. There's tomatoes, and there's cabbage, and there's carrots, and there's pumpkins, and he's just running through all of it. And this is supposed to be cabbage right there written, and they misspelled it. They forgot a B. But that's what it is. Rabbit watched Pooh disappear into the forest, then collected the weeds and replaced them neatly in a pile. As Rabbit continued to work in his garden, he began to relax again and even to smile. See, he's got a little pile of weeds again. He's very careful about where it goes. But his smile quickly faded when he heard Roo and Tigger come bouncing down the path. Catch me if you can, Roo called. Here I come, Tigger shouted back. Oh no. What do you think they're going to do? He does not look happy. Rabbit jumped up. Please, please, please stop making that racket, he pleaded. What racket? Tigger asked, coming to a halt. You're shouting, Rabbit said, his voice rising. Can't you bounce without shouting? I guess we can, Roo admitted, but shouting makes bouncing more fun. It's not fun for me, Rabbit insisted crossly. Some of us like peace and quiet. Then we'll go someplace else, said Tigger. Come on, Roo. After Tigger and Roo left, Rabbit hurried to his tool shed. He found some wood and made a signboard. Then he took out his paint and paintbrush, and in big black letters he painted the words, Quiet. Quiet. No shouting, talking, etc., or bothering Rabbit. That is what he put on his sign. As soon as it was dry, Rabbit carried the sign back to his garden and posted it where everybody would see it. Yeah, he's got a few things backwards on his sign, but you understand what it means. The next day, as Rabbit was picking tomatoes, Pooh and Piglet wandered down the path. As they approached, Rabbit could hear them chatting excitedly. Rabbit stood up and said, "Can't you see the sign? It says quiet. No shouting, talking, etc. or bothering Rabbit." Oh, Pooh said. So that's what it says. Piglet gulped and nodded, afraid to speak. Then he and Pooh quietly tiptoed away. A little while later, Al came by. "Why, Rabbit," Al exclaimed, "what an excellent sign! I should make one for my house." Al droned on. "It's awful how some folks never stop talking. Take, for example, my Uncle Robert." Rabbit tapped his foot impatiently. "Ahem," Al coughed. "I'll be getting along now. Happy thinking, Rabbit." Because Al understood that Rabbit was getting annoyed. Look at that foot tapping. Does anybody else tap their foot whenever they get impatient or get irritated? Alone at last, Rabbit began picking corn. Suddenly, the sweet silence was interrupted by a loud tap, tap, tap. Rabbit whirled around, wondering who would dare ignore his sign. Again he heard tap, tap, tap. Finally, Rabbit looked up in a tree. "Oh no," he said, "it's a woodpecker." As the woodpecker continued tapping, Rabbit covered his ears. To his dismay, he could still hear tap, tap, tap. Because that's what woodpeckers do. They tap, tap, tap the trees. Rabbit ran back to his house and dug through his winter clothing. When he found a pair of earmuffs, he clamped them over his ears and said, this should do the trick." But when Rabbit returned to his garden, he could still hear the woodpecker tapping away. The earmuffs were good for keeping out cold, but they were terrible at keeping out loud sounds. As Rabbit stood in his garden, Eeyore strolled by, crunching noisily on some thistle. When Eeyore stopped to stare at Rabbit's earmuffs, Rabbit said, "I can hear you crunching." As he spoke, he glared and pointed to the sign. Remember, quiet, no shouting, talking, etc., or bothering Rabbit. That's exactly what the sign says. Yep, that's what it says. Eeyore carefully read the words. He swallowed the thistle, then said, "I get the message. I won't bother you any longer. Nice seeing you anyway, Rabbit." He looks a little surprised. After Eeyore left, Rabbit tore off his earmuffs and marched back inside. "I've had enough noise and bother for one day," he said. "I need a nice quiet nap." Rabbit stretched out on top of his bed, but just as he began to doze, he was rudely awakened by a chirping noise. Do you know what chirps? Rabbit buried his head under the pillow. For a moment there was silence. Then he heard it again. Cricket, cricket. Rabbit jumped off the bed and began searching for the cricket. He finally saw it, but the cricket saw Rabbit first and leaped behind a chest of drawers. Cricket, cricket, it called. Ah. Now I'll never have peace and quiet, Rabbit moaned. Perhaps Christopher Robin can help me. And so Rabbit hurried over to his friend's house. When the boy opened the door, he said, "Why, Rabbit, what's the matter?" Rabbit sputtered, "Talking, tapping, crunching, chirping. There's too much noise. I just can't think." And Christopher Robin is going to help him. Oh, goodness. I won't shall turn the page. Seeing Rabbit in such distress, Christopher Robin disappeared into the house, then returned with some cotton. "Try this," the boy said. Rabbit gratefully took 2 wads of cotton and put them in his ears. "Do they work?" Christopher Robin asked. "What?" said Rabbit. "Do they work?" the boy repeated. "I can't hear you," Rabbit cried. "Good," said Christopher Robin as he waved and closed the door. Can you see the cotton? Can you see the cotton in his ear? That night, Rabbit slept peacefully. With the cotton in his ears, he didn't hear a sound. He didn't hear the cricket chirping beside his bed. He didn't hear the birds singing in the morning, and he didn't hear the crows cawing in his garden. That last one may be a problem. Oh, there's Rabbit sleeping. There's the cricket that he did not hear. There's the birds that he did not hear. Well, I think those are actually the birds he didn't hear, and I think those are the crows, but I'm not sure. But crows in the garden are not a good thing. That afternoon, when Rabbit went outside to do his watering, he saw a terrible sight. Every last one of his corn cobs had been picked clean. "Crows!" Rabbit exclaimed. "If only I'd heard them, I could have shooed them away." Look at the poor corn. It's on the ground. All the little kernels are off. Oh, those crows. Then, just as he began to clean up the mess, he saw Pooh and the others walking down the path. To his surprise, Rabbit's friends walked silently past him. "Wait!" he cried. "Where are you going?" He's still got something in his ears. Pooh moved his mouth, but Rabbit could not hear him. And it looks like little Roo may be shouting. Pooh is talking. Piglet's talking. I don't think Tigger is. "What?" Rabbit said. Then he remembered the cotton balls and took them out of his ears. "What did you say, Pooh?" Rabbit asked. "I said I knocked on your door to ask you on our picnic, but you didn't answer, so I thought you didn't want to be disturbed." "Oh dear," said Rabbit. "I wanted peace and quiet, but I guess I went too far." Then, when an embarrassed smile Rabbit asked, "May I come on a picnic too?" "We're gonna make noise," warned Pooh. "Lots of noise," chimed in Piglet and Tigger. He's already got little sticks. To prove it, Roo picked up 2 sticks and banged them together. "That's all right," said Rabbit. "I'll even help you." Rabbit is going to help make noise. Then, as the friends strolled down the path, Pooh made up a song. Tap, tap, chirp, chirp, yakety yak, clinkety clink. Poor Rabbit hears so many sounds when all he wants to do is think. But noise can be a lovely thing, like friends who laugh and birds that sing. Rabbit smiled and loudly clapped along with Pooh's song. It was music to his ears. It looks like everybody liked his song. Pooh and Piglet and Roo and Rabbit and Tigger. The end. Now, on my fingers is the name Aaron, E-R-Y-N, because I was thinking of a very special person who makes lots of noise. I hope that you enjoyed that book. I hope that you make lots of noise. And I hope that you don't irritate people whenever you do it. Just have some fun.